Hey guys, what's up? Coming at you with a 10-minute special on the writer's strike. I couldn't be out on the picket line today because I am sick and I don't want to get other people sick. But I thought I'd try to do my part nonetheless by, raising awareness and trying to just sort of, talk about what's going on through the medium that makes most sense to me. So here we go. Studios are trying to cancel overall deals. Can you believe this? How about this, studios? Overall, you're canceled. And guess what else? Overall, I'm gay. Writers are only asking for 2% of Hollywood's profits. That's what all of the requests boil down to. That's nothing. They won't even notice that. Because, I'm basically 2% of Yao Ming's height, and you can't even see me from far away. And kids think that they can beat me up still, because I'm basically the size of them. And that happened once when I was substitute teacher at my high school. None of the kids would listen to me because they said if I tried to tell them what to do, they could just beat the shit out of me, and then who would I even tell? Because I was being beat up by kids, and that was humiliating. So come on. Writers have been shutting down shows in production because Teamsters and other members of unions won't cross the picket lines. That's amazing. In fact, it's so amazing. I wish that the WGA had been picketing outside of my high school when we put on a Shakespeare show that I was in, because then it wouldn't have happened, because it basically ruined my life, because I was playing the role of a whore and I hadn't even given head yet, and so I was really setting myself up to fail, and I had no idea what I was doing in terms of sex, and it just was a confusing time for me. So I just wish that the writers had been doing it then as well. The last writer's strike was in 2007, and I was living in New York City. That's where I grew up, and I was 12 years old. And I did not cross the picket line that time, but I did walk around it to get into Toys R Us, to go on that Ferris wheel inside. Anybody remember that? Pretty small Ferris wheel. Line was around 2 hours, and if you stood up, you hit your head on the ceiling going down. Speaking of height from before, writers are trying to make sure that mini rooms don't become the norm, which I of course respect. However, mini room sounds amazing to me because I'm so fucking short. I have my own place now, and I can't even reach the food that I have stored up in my cabinets because of how short I am. And so I'm starving. Oh, why don't you get a ladder? Yes, I should. But I don't want to. I'm not ready to. What else? I love my union, of course. I'm a member of the WGA. But there is one union that I hold sacred above all else, and it is the union of holy matrimony. Of course, I'm talking about marriage, and that's the union I'm really looking to enter. So can I find my wife on the picket line? Please, somebody, be my wife. Writers are fighting for AI to stay out of our profession, so that studios can't just use AI to write scripts and stuff. AI. If AI wants to write so bad, why don't you write my dating profile? Please. I could use all the help I can get. And if AI wants to write so bad, why don't you write me my prescription for Klonopin every month? Because I want it every month like clockwork, and I have to go to the doctor, and I have to tell him why I need Klonopin. Meanwhile, AI, why don't you do something helpful and just renew the prescription automatically for me? What's the big deal? Okay? Writers are trying to make it so that our work, it doesn't become so much part of the gig economy. You know, we want to have a stable career. I remember the best gig I ever had was when I was babysitting. And I was babysitting a 2-year-old, and within the first 20 minutes, I picked him up to play with him, and I accidentally hit his head on a cabinet. And he pretty much went to sleep right away. And I got to eat his lunch and my lunch. I took my lunch home for dinner because I got to have his lunch as my lunch. And he slept the whole day. And I got paid, and he's fine now, you know. But that's the best gig I ever had. However, obviously not sustainable for him, because if I kept doing that, then probably he would have concussions. You know, kid with CTE. I mean, that's not sustainable for anyone. So let's not do the gig economy, shall we? The CEOs rented yachts for the month of June, months ago in anticipation of the strike. Well, guess what, CEOs? I anticipated this as well, starting as early as 1970s, and that's why I created global warming. So you guys are all going to be on your yachts in June, and there will be a tsunami in a place that no one ever thought possible would be a tsunami. So why don't you cancel that stuff? Or maybe I shouldn't be warning you at all. When I was on the pickets last week, I averaged around 18,000 steps a day. Not so bad, but, much to the studio's chagrin, what they don't know that they're doing is they're basically making us do Marvel workouts every day. I mean, we're going to do 18,000 steps a day for a couple of weeks, couple months. We're all going to look like Kumail. Suddenly we're all going to be actors. You're going to have no writers, and it will be entirely your fault. Okay? The AMPTP did not offer counters for many of the WGA's proposals. It's very upsetting. Sounds a lot like that time I went to the bank, walked up to the teller, and said, "Can I please have $1 million?" And they said, "No." How about a counter offer, sweetie? And that, that would be nice. Can I just have something? Writers are trying to preserve the longevity of the profession, by striking, and we're taking some time to not work, so hopefully we can work for a longer time in the future. Meanwhile, I'm trying to preserve the longevity of my life, working out 4 to 5 times a week, and I just cut out gluten because it hurts my tummy. So we're all doing work on ourselves. CEOs are having their sales calls, and they're telling their shareholders, business is booming, we have more profits than ever. But they're telling the writers that they have no profits to pay us. And this kind of two-facedness is reminiscent of the time in middle school when 3 of my best girlfriends said that they were my friends, and then they made a blog about me called rachelisabitch.blogspot.com, and they each wrote one entry saying why I was a bitch. And these girls, I actually saw one of them on the street, and I didn't say hi because it still hurts. So you guys want to be known for this type of behavior? Also, most of the CEOs are ugly as well. And can I just say something else? No, it's inappropriate. What else we got here? We want the residuals for streaming. And so, what's the problem? I don't have a joke for that. But, what am I supposed to do right now? I'm bored out of my mind. I can't work. Meanwhile, you guys are you guys are so annoying. Hopefully I'll be back on the picket line in a couple days. You can hear from my voice I'm very congested. What else? This is a time for self-reflection. And I hate myself. But not more than I hate these studios. Am I right, guys? Alright, thanks so much for watching. You know, support the strike, and there's a entertainment community fund you can donate to and stuff like this. Alright, okay, thank you!